Chapter 14 of The Temptation of Saint Anthony by Gustave Flaubert, translated by Lafcadio Hearn. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Tony Addison. And first, the Astomai approach, like bubbles of air traversed by sunlight. They cry, "Do not breathe too hard. The drops of rain bruise us. False notes excoriate us. Darknesses blind us. Composed wholly of breezes and of perfumes, we float along, we roll along, a little more than dreams, yet not quite beings." The Nisnas have only one eye, one cheek, one hand, one leg, half a body, half a heart. They say, "We live quiet in our halves of houses, with our halves of wives, and our halves of children." The Blemiers, who have no head at all, "Our shoulders are all the broader, and there is no ox, rhinoceros, or elephant able to carry what we carry." Something dimly resembling features, as it were a vague face, imprinted upon our breasts, that is all. We think digestions, we subtilize secretions. God, in our belief, floats peacefully within the interior chalice. We go straight upon our way, through all mires, crossing all morasses, skirting the edges of all abysses, and we are the most laborious, the most happy, the most virtuous of all peoples, the Pygmies. We, good little men, swarm upon the world like vermin upon the hump of a dromedary. We are burned, drowned, crushed, and we always reappear, more vivacious and countless than before, terrible by reason of our numbers. The Shearpods, fettered to the earth by our hair, long as lianas, we vegetate beneath the shelter of our feet, broad as parasols, and the light comes to us through the thickness of our heels. No annoyances for us, no work. The head as low as possible, all that is the secret of happiness. Their lifted thighs, resembling the trunks of trees, multiply, and a forest appears. Great apes clamber through it on all fours. These are men with the heads of dogs. The Cynocephali. We leap from branch to branch in search of eggs to suck, and we pluck the little fledglings alive. Then we put their nests upon our heads in lieu of caps. We tear off the teats of cows, and we put out the eyes of lynxes. We let fall our dung from the heights of the trees. We parade our turpitude in the full light of the sun, lacerating the flowers, crushing the fruits, befouling the springs, violating women. We are the masters of all by the strength of our arms and the ferocity of our hearts. Oh, companions, gnash with your jaws! Blood and milk pour down their chops. The rain streams over their hairy backs. Anthony inhales the freshness of the green leaves. There is a movement among them, a clashing of branches, and all of a sudden appears a huge black stag, with the head of a bull, having between his ears a thicket of white horns. The Sadhuzag. My 74 antlers are hollow like flutes. When I turn me toward the wind of the south, there issue from them sounds that draw all the ravished animals around me. The serpents twine about my legs, the wasps cluster in my nostrils, and the parrots, the doves, the ibises, alight upon the branches of my horns. Listen!" He throws back his horns, whence issues a music of sweetness ineffable. Anthony presses both hands upon his heart. It seems to him as though his soul were being borne away by the melody. The sadhus sag. But when I turn me toward the wind of the north, my antlers, more thickly bristling than a battalion of lances, give forth a sound of howlings. The forests are startled with fear. The rivers remount toward their sources. The husks of fruits burst open, and the bending grasses stand erect on end, like the hair of a coward. Listen! He bends his branching antlers forward. Hideous and discordant cries proceed from them. Anthony feels as though his heart were torn asunder, and his horror augments upon beholding the Martichoras, a gigantic red lion with human face and 3 rows of teeth. The gleam of my scarlet hair mingles with the reflection of the great sands. I breathe through my nostrils the terror of solitudes. I spit forth plague. I devour armies when they venture into the desert. My claws are twisted like screws, my teeth shaped like saws, and my curving tail bristles with darts, which I cast to right and left, before and behind. See, see! The Martichoras shoots forth the keen bristles of his tail, which irradiate in all directions like a volley of arrows. Drops of blood rain down, spattering upon the foliage. The Catoblepas, a black buffalo with a pig's head, falling to the ground, and attached to his shoulders by a neck long, thin, and flaccid as an empty gut. He wallows flat upon the ground, and his feet entirely disappear beneath the enormous mane of coarse hair which covers his face. Fat, melancholy, fierce, thus I continually remain, feeling against my belly the warmth of the mud. So heavy is my skull that it is impossible for me to lift it. I roll it slowly all around me, open-mouthed, and with my tongue I tear up the venomous plants bedewed with my breath. Once I even devoured my own feet without knowing it. No one, Anthony, has ever beheld mine eyes, or at least those who have beheld them are dead. Were I to lift my eyelids, my pink and swollen eyelids, thou wouldst forthwith die. Anthony. Oh, that one! Ugh! As though I could desire it. Yet his stupidity fascinates me. No, no, I will not. He gazes fixedly upon the ground. But the weeds take fire, and amidst the contortions of the flames arises the basilisk, a great violet serpent with trilobate crest and 2 fangs, one above, one below. Beware, lest thou fall into my jaws. I drink fire, I am fire, and I inhale it from all things, from clouds, from flints, from dead trees, the fur of animals, the surface of marshes. My temperature maintains the volcanoes. I lend glitter to jewels. I give colours to metals. The griffin, a lion with a vulture's beak and white wings, red paws, and blue neck. I am the master of deep splendours. I know the secrets of the tombs wherein the kings of old do slumber. A chain issuing from the wall maintains their heads upright. Near them, in basins of porphyry, the women they loved float upon the surfaces of black liquids. Their treasures are all arrayed in halls, in lozenge-shaped designs, in little heaps, in pyramids. And down below, far below the tombs, and to be reached only after long travelling through stifling darkness, there are rivers of gold, bordered by forests of diamonds. There are fields of carbuncles, and lakes of mercury. Adust against the subterranean gate I remain, with claws uplifted, and my flaming eyes spy out those who seek to approach. The vast and naked plain that stretches away to the end of the horizon is whitened with the bones of travellers. But for thee the gates of bronze shall open, and thou shalt inhale the vapour of the mines. Thou shalt descend into the caverns. Quick! Quick! He burrows into the earth with his paws, and crows like a cock. 1,000 voices answer him, the forest trembles, and all manner of frightful creatures arise. The trigolaphus, half deer, half ox, the myrmecoles, lion before and ant behind, whose genitals are set reversely, the python ascar, 60 cubits long, that terrified Moses, the huge weasel pastinaca, that kills the trees with her odour, the prasteros, that makes those who touch it imbecile, the mirag, a horned hare, that dwells in the islands of the sea, the leopard falmant, bursts his belly by roaring, the triple-headed bear senad, tears her young by licking them with her tongue, the dog cepus pours out the blue milk of her teats upon the rocks. Mosquitoes begin to hum, toads commence to leap, serpents hiss, lightnings flicker, hail falls. Then come gusts, bearing with them marvellous anatomies, heads of alligators with hooves of deer, owls with serpent tails, swine with tiger muzzles, goats with the crupper of an ass, frogs hairy as bears, chameleons huge as hippopotami, calves with 2 heads, one bellowing, the other weeping, winged bellies flitting hither and thither like gnats. They rain from the sky, they rise from the earth, they pour from the rocks. Everywhere eyes flame, mouths roar, breasts bulge, claws are extended, teeth gnash, flesh clacks against flesh. Some crouch, some devour each other at a mouthful. Suffocating under their own numbers, multiplying by their own contact, they climb over one another and move about Anthony with a surging motion, as though the ground were the deck of a ship. He feels the trail of snails upon the calves of his legs, the chilliness of vipers upon his hands, and spiders spinning about him enclose him within their network. But the monstrous circle breaks, parts, the sky suddenly becomes blue, and the unicorn appears. Gallop! Gallop! I have hooves of ivory, teeth of steel. My head is the colour of purple, my body the colour of snow, and the horn of my forehead is bestreaked with the tints of the rainbow. I travel from Chaldea to the Tartar desert. Upon the shores of the Ganges and in Mesopotamia I overtake the ostriches. I run so swiftly that I draw the wind after me. I rub my back against the palm trees. I roll among the bamboos. I leap rivers with a single bound. Doves fly above me. Only a virgin can bridle me. Gallop! Gallop!" Anthony watches him depart; and as he gazes, he beholds all the birds that nourish themselves with wind, the gewit, the ahoutai, the alphalim, the eucreth of the mountains of Kaf, the homai of the Arabs, which are the souls of murdered men. He hears the parrots that utter human speech, and the great Pelagian palmipeds that sob like children, or chuckle like old women. A saline air strikes his nostrils. Now a vast beach stretches before him. In the distance jets of water arise spouted by whales, and from the very end of the horizon come the beasts of the sea, round as wineskins, flat as blades, denticulated like saws, dragging themselves over the sand as they approach. Thou wilt accompany us to our immensities, whither as yet no one has descended. Divers peoples inhabit the countries of the ocean. Some dwell in the sojourn of tempests; others swim freely amid the transparency of chill waves, or, like oxen, graze upon the coral plains, or suck in through their trunks the reflux of the tides, or bear upon their shoulders the vast weight of the sources of the sea. Phosphorescences gleam in the moustaches of the seals, shift in the scales of fish. Echini whirl like wheels, ammonites uncoil like cables, oysters make their shell hinges squeak, polypi unfold their tentacles, medusae quiver like balls of crystal suspended, sponges float hither and thither, anemones ejaculate water, wrack and sea mosses have grown all about, and all sorts of plants extend themselves into branches, twist themselves into screws, lengthen into points, round themselves out like fans. Gourds take the appearance of breasts, lianas interlace like serpents. The dedeums of Babylon, which are trees, bear human heads for fruit. Mandragoras sing. The root Baaras runs through the grass. And now the vegetables are no longer distinguishable from the animals. Polyparias that seem like trees have arms upon their branches. Anthony thinks he sees a caterpillar between two leaves. It is a butterfly that takes flight. He is about to step on a pebble. A grey locust leaps away. One shrub is bedecked with insects that look like petals of roses. Fragments of ephemerides form a snowy layer upon the soil. And then the plants become confounded with the stones. Flints assume the likeness of brains, stalactites of breasts. The flower of iron resembles a figured tapestry. He sees efflorescences in fragments of ice, imprints of shrubs and shells, yet so that one cannot detect whether they be imprints only, or the things themselves. Diamonds gleam like eyes, metals palpitate, and all fear has departed from him. He throws himself down upon the ground, and leaning upon his elbows, watches breathlessly. Insects that have no stomachs persistently eat. Withered ferns bloom again and reflower. Absent members grow again. At last he perceives tiny globular masses, no larger than pinheads, with cilia all around them. They are agitated with a vibratile motion. Anthony deliriously: "O joy! O bliss! I have beheld the birth of life! I have seen the beginning of motion! My pulses throb, even to the point of bursting. I long to fly, to swim, to bark, to bellow, to howl. Would that I had wings, a carapace, a shell, that I could breathe out smoke, wield a trunk, make my body writhe, divide myself everywhere, be in everything, emanate with odours, develop myself like the plants, flow like water, vibrate like sound, shine like light, squatting upon all forms, penetrate each atom, descend to the very bottom of matter, be matter itself." Day at last appears, and like tabernacle curtains uplifted, clouds of gold uprolling in broad volutes unveil the sky. Even in the midst thereof, and in the very disk of the sun, beams the face of Jesus Christ. Anthony makes the sign of the cross, and resumes his devotions. Fini. End of chapter 14. End of The Temptation of Saint Anthony by Gustave Flaubert, translated by Lafcadio Hearn.